Last orders at the bar.
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web stream nickers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line before the Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Right, I believe that's us.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. We're back. We're back for another episode of Last Orders, catching up on super chats from Open Bar 120.
Well,
That was our kind of unofficial Thanksgiving special, I suppose. And you know, we didn't really do anything Thanksgiving related, to be fair. But we did acknowledge it, so that's not bad. That's progress, I would say.
Yeah, we've already gone well beyond our expectations with that.
True. Yeah. I'm still impressed that we got 2 Americans on to actually do that on the night.
Yeah.
Like, damn. Didn't you guys have anything better to do? Guess not. Oh, well. We appreciated them being on. But here we are. We've got a few super chats left over from the bar. So I'm going to just jump in and try and answer them right now.
All right.
So, the first one here is from Master of Puppets, who said, I loved Rogue Elements, though after reading the comment section, I think people believe the moment a woman is in any kind of action film, she's a girl boss and stop thinking about it. Yeah, that was an interesting bit of feedback we got from a lot of people. We've got 2 female characters in the movie, Kira and Anya. And, you know, they both do a bit of fighting and a bit of action-y stuff. And they're getting accused of being girl bosses, and I'm kind of confused. Like, we specifically designed particularly Kira's fight so that she kind of gets her ass kicked consistently. Like, she tries to use weapons and she tries to use the environment to even the odds a little bit, but ultimately she gets overpowered and she has to be rescued by a guy. So I'm not quite sure how the girl boss accusation factors into that. And with Anya, again, she gets taken out by an explosion midway through the action scene at the end, and she's out of action. And it's Drake who has to take down the bad guy. She just pulls the trigger ultimately, but he's already been beaten by that point. So again, we're trying not to make them like impervious and better than everyone else. But I don't know, man. I guess you're never going to quite please everyone. Nick the Greek says Brie Larson's new book for upcoming actresses. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's
it's good advice. Yeah.
How many pages is that?
Rachel Zegler should probably do the forward. K-Dog says, watched Silo recently and it's really good. You should give it a watch. But it falls into the sad trope where all the plot twists can be predicted by whether or not a character is white male, evil, or anything else. Good/misunderstood. Mauler, you've seen the first season of Silo. Can you confirm or deny this?
I didn't. There's plenty of twists I didn't necessarily see coming, certainly in regards to what exactly the situation is outside and what the power structure inside is doing. I'm not sure exactly what if you mean like any authority figure that's white is going to turn out to be evil and vice versa or something, but
I get the impression that's what they're going for with this super chat, that essentially any character that's a white male is either going to be, you know, corrupt or bad in some way. And the more diverse characters are more likely to be good, competent, or, you know, at the very least misunderstood baddies.
I watched it with Rags. I'm not sure if we're going to redo season 1 before watching season 2 or not, but there was a character who was, I think he was the sheriff temporarily, and we were really hoping, spoilers kind of, that he was going to absorb into sort of a role that would be more interesting, but it kind of breaks off for... He's not made evil, something else happens. But, like, there's plenty of, like, you know, strong characterization for all kinds of people in the show. I thought the intrigue was pretty good, and I thought that they treated it relatively seriously. The world felt much more authentic than a lot that you end up seeing in terms of what would happen if it was the way that they're describing. Yeah. I'll be curious to check out season 2, and I can let you know if it's worthwhile. But I thought season 1 was worth it.
I started it, like I got maybe 2 episodes in, and I was intrigued. I don't know if I was like
It's a bit
gripped enough to
slow.
like, yeah, I think that was perhaps my issue where I was just like, there was other things that I was kind of focusing on at the time, and maybe it just didn't grip me enough to really get invested in it.
I get you.
But maybe I need to give it a bit more time because I do like scenarios like that where you've got a bunch of people in an isolated environment, always not quite what it seems, and there's a whole bunch of mysteries to unravel
I mean,
about
one of the
their
things I think
situation.
is really neat about it as a unique universe is that their history only goes back, was it like 200 years? Because their records got deleted or something. Because
Right.
that sounds, it's such a little thing of like, what really happened, you know?
Well, yeah. And yeah, I guess it shows how easily you can manipulate people once you take away their understanding of the past. You can construct any
Yeah.
reality you want, and they'll believe it because they don't know any better.
It's kind of horrifying to have a past that's so short-lived and easy to completely destroy and corrupt.
Yeah, I mean, Attack on Titan does that as well, and it the viewer is party to that because you only know as much as the characters know when the series begins, and then I think it's like the final season they completely pull the rug out from under you, and they're like, "Yeah, so all of this shit was just a lie, and here's the real state of the world," and it's like, "Oh, damn, I did not see that coming," which is
Interesting.
it's neat. Casey Boyd says, on a scale of 1 to 10, who's more gay, Scotland or Wales?
That's a tough one, actually. It's...
I think there's potential for gayness in all of us.
Britain's pretty gay.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do we have? We've got really fat, unhealthy people in Scotland. I don't know if
We
that
got
factors
plenty of
into
them as well.
gayness.
I think I'm pretty sure Wales is like shocking in that regard. Like for
Really,
how small and to the side and unknown, it's got like a really ridiculously high percentage of like heart disease and bad shit going on. I guess that's applicable to the whole world right now, though.
yeah. I mean, you tend to see it in like, well, particularly areas with like high rates of poverty. And I don't know, like, is Wales kind of like a former like industrial area with all the like the mining and stuff that used to go
Yeah,
on there?
yeah.
And maybe that's kind of closed down. And a lot of these communities just kind of fall into,
Too many McDonald's.
yeah, that's
That's
always
what's
bad.
the fault of it.
Yep.
We should boycott
If only
McDonald's.
people had warned us that McDonald's could make you fat.
Yeah.
Sticky Fingered Bandit says, in answer to your question, Drinker, those graves that were dug by hand. Oh, yeah, I remember this one on the night, actually. Yeah, so 656 graves dug by hand. That is a good workout. David Gannon asks, Ridley is past his prime, so who keeps giving him money?
I mean, the name still sells as long as the box office reflects something. Then
Let's have a quick Gladiator 2 check since I'm here. Because the last time we talked about this, it was actually doing relatively well. So it's currently sitting at 320 million worldwide. And that's after, yeah, it's like 2 weeks of release. So I might reframe what I said there about it doing well, because really after the first 2 weeks, you're gonna decline quite sharply, aren't you? In terms of revenue.
Do you see Wicked's box office drop was like 23.8% or something?
Is that all?
Yeah, it was tiny.
That's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you almost never see a drop like that. Yeah, so that's it's
super surprised. Like a lot of people said that they expect Wicked to do well.
Yeah, I mean, it's sitting at just shy of 360 million worldwide at the moment. So, I mean, still pulling in good numbers. Yeah, because it had a sort of different release window to Gladiator. Gladiator had the international release like a week ahead. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it ends up. Could it hit 1 billion? Probably too difficult to say at this point. Anyway, Jimber Jamber says, Happy Turkey Day, you dastardly devilish denizens of dudeness. Does anyone remember the show Dark Angel? Decided to give it a rewatch, and I'm happy that I did. The only TV show that James Cameron ever made. So that was Jennifer Garner, was it?
No, Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba, that was it.
Ghana was an Alias.
Yeah. They're not too different from each other in terms of tone and stuff, but
I
yeah, I
remember
didn't.
being confused as a kid because I was watching Angel, and it'd be like Dark Angel is also a show, and I was like, does that have anything to do with?
Is that a cooler version of Angel?
Why is the cooler version a girl? Lame.
Yeah. God, Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
Good times. We had it pretty good in the 2000s. David Gannon says, at 90, how is Clint Eastwood still making movies? Well, he's making them very, very well. Hail to the panel. I mean,
I
yeah,
want to see
like,
Jura 2. I want to see if it's good.
we'll wait and see. Casey Boyd says, South Park killed Georgie's drive to finish Game of Thrones. I mean, yeah, everything's killed it, really. Freddie Litt says, any of you seen Eraserhead? I saw it once late at night when I was a bit worse for wear, and that was more than enough for the rest of my life. Yeah, not a huge fan
The
of
wacky
movies
one.
like that. Was that?
Generally a fan of Lynch stuff, or
No, I'm not.
a bit too abstract, perhaps?
I mean, kind of, yeah. And like Eraserhead just left me feeling like disturbed and depressed, and I was just like, yeah,
I'm sure you'd be happy to hear that, honestly.
Movie. Yeah, I had a similar experience watching Mulholland Drive, where I was just like, yeah, I mean, I can appreciate the performances on display here. I have no fucking clue what this movie is or what it's trying to say to me, but sure. Well done.
I mean, yeah, he's hyper unique director. It'll be sad when he retires. Didn't he recently announce he had like a cancer thanks to his he smokes like crazy, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I shouldn't use the word announce. It sounds like a project he's working on.
Yeah. Attention, everyone. Let me see. He's got lung disease, just emphysema, apparently.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, it's not.
I mean,
too
still
serious,
not great, but I don't think it's as bad.
Yeah,
smoking related, obviously. Ed Song says, if there's a movie about Gary's drug empire, panel, will you review the film and how much fluff will you tolerate? I'll tolerate all the fluff.
I would like a Breaking Bad with Gary. I think that would be pretty cool.
I think that would be awesome, yeah. Abel34 Bravo says, it's rare that I catch the stream live. I'm 38 minutes behind, so I don't know if you're talking about it, but I wanted to tell everybody hello. Well, hello to you. Thanks for dropping in. Japanese Demon Lord says, if you want to get a taste of bad fantasy out of your mouth with something good, try Frieren. It's a likable, strong female character with flaws. Yes, I've heard good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
John Shano says, Blackout Friday in Scotland. I mean, you know, I can have a blackout on any day, particularly, so it's fine. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch says, lock Boogie and George R.R. Martin in a room together and tell them they'll be released if they convince the other to honestly apologize to their fan base. Never going to happen. Neither one would ever escape. Casey Boyd, as we speak, I'm reading an article where the Arcane showrunner is making the excuse that they didn't have enough time in response to season 2 feedback. I think we might have talked about that on the night, actually.
We've also said on EFAP that I appreciate the idea that it's so rushed that it could never have been good, but I don't even buy that. I think that there's a lot of time wasted in this season. There's a lot of crappy dialogue anyway. There's a lot of bad execution of the ideas that they wanted to achieve anyway. You know, a lot of stuff like that.
I think as well, like 3 years should be long enough to do one season of a show. I mean, I get that the animation takes a while, but like the writing shouldn't take that long.
You've seen Act 3. If you were told you got to get there from the end of season 1 in 9 episodes, like, could you do it?
I mean, I could. That would have to be the focus of the entire season, though, that conflict. You can't dick around with your other 2 acts there. No way.
Yeah, the Noxus and Victor stuff, that's going to have to be what everything's framed around.
Yeah. You can't resolve something like that in 3 episodes. It's insane. Bavarian Normie Pleb says, will we get a Gladiator versus Machete in Space sequel? Sure, I hope so.
Yeah.
The Biv. Gladiator 1 was the birth of shaky cam combat. I can't stand it. Rose-colored glasses, happy Turkey Day. I don't think it was the birth of it. There must have been other movies that had done it.
I don't even think that anybody's like ever said, you know, Gladiator's combat is without flaw. It's it's not like rose-colored glass as opposed to Gladiator's got amazing aspects to it. It's not like the fight in it. I know that it gets made fun of for its like anachronisms, and you can see like guys wearing jeans in certain shots and stuff. Like there's plenty of things in Gladiator that they fuck up, but it's also an amazing film for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I agree.
We ain't beating that Maximus speech, right? When he announces himself.
Yes. This is why, like, it's such a contrast with Gladiator 2. Like, the similar scene with Lucius, and he just recites a poem, and he doesn't even deliver it properly. It's just so fucking cringe. The Ray Infinity Show says the Transformers brand is done after Transformers 1 bombed. I mean, oh well, I can live with that. Right. Max Rovensky says, "Hey Drinker, loved Rogue Elements, but please have your editor watch any of my sound design tutorials. The audio was pretty bad. Also, don't have women survive an RPG to the face. Now go and make that TV show." She didn't get hit in the face with it. It's like it exploded in her general vicinity. And the interesting thing about RPGs is they're designed to penetrate armor. So they don't tend to fragment unless you've got a specific anti-personnel one. So if an armor-piercing one explodes nearby, like in the ground, you've got a pretty good chance of surviving that. You might get hit by the blast wave and knocked over, but it's probably not going to kill you. So I stand by that one. And as for the sound design, yeah, that's kind of a matter for our cinematographer and our editor rather than me, but sure. Here is one that's oddly appropriate. Greggy Gilgan says, Drinker, Mauler, next Firefly, please.
Ooh.
Funny you should mention that. We recorded a bunch of them yesterday, and I just have to edit them, and they will be out soon. So you'll be seeing a bunch more of our Firefly watch-throughs before Christmas.
Reassure the wonderful people at home. What do you think of Firefly so far?
I love it. It's just a
Yay.
great, charming, fun, very interesting show that does a great deal with limited resources. And fuck me, I wish we had more shows like that today.
I agree.
Brendan Lucas says, thoughts on Avowed Discourse, another AAA game mindlessly walking towards commercial failure because their woke devs can't have a shred of humility. So I don't really know anything about Avowed Discourse. I haven't heard much about it yet. I mean, if it's a AAA one, it must be a pretty big release. Who's putting it out?
I keep hearing about it, but not like significantly.
Yeah, okay, there's controversy surrounding pronouns because of course there is. Okay. Yeah, and apparently one of the main devs is lashing out at fans. It's like the same bloody cycle just keeps getting repeated again and again.
Yeah.
You know, I maybe they need to read that Brie Larson book, How to Shut the Fuck Up. Like just
everyone gets sent a copy.
Yeah, it should just be required reading for every industry. Eurodoc says, all hail to the Fellowship. Besides Rachel Zegler, who else has Hollywood tried hard to make happen besides being generally disliked? I think we might have answered this the other night, actually. Back in the day, they tried real hard to launch Taylor Kitsch with, that was the John Carter of Mars. Like, he was going to be the next big thing.
I felt like Sam Worthington got a bit of that. Not that everyone hated him. It was more so everyone was just like fine with him, you know? Like, there he is.
Yeah, it's like taking a guy who's really just a character actor and trying to make him a leading man, you know, who doesn't really have the charisma or the looks or anything to make it happen. And it took a couple of years, but we cottoned on to the fact that he wasn't working. And yeah, it happens. It really does happen. Every few years, Hollywood will pick another up-and-coming actor and just say, this is the guy. He's going to be the next big star. And most of the time it doesn't work out. I suspect they're going to do it with Glenn Powell. He's been lined up for a big push. Twisters was his first lead-in man gig, and they're going to do more with him, I think. I think he'll probably succeed, though, because he is a pretty good actor.
Yeah, fair.
Yaddy says, hi, Drinker. I hope you could watch and review Snowpiercer Season 1 to 4. Jennifer Connelly and Sean Bean as the star. I mean, if it's got Jennifer Connelly in it,
I
what's
do
a
like
man to
Jennifer
do?
Connelly.
I do. Old and young version, actually. She's aged like fine wine.
Yeah.
But as for Snowpiercer, I watched like the Chris Evans movie, and that was pretty goofy. And
I liked
I'm not
it.
sure if
It wasn't like, it certainly wasn't perfect. There's plenty. I get what you mean by goofy for sure.
no, I just kept like questioning the logistics of all this, and I was like, no, there's no
Yeah.
fucking way this train could ever work.
Well, it's also just what a retarded idea. Like,
Yeah, like okay,
but
there's
it
been an
like
apocalypse
yeah.
and there's just an ice age. It's like, what do we need? A fucking train that runs perpetually around the world? Why not just have a bunker that's underground or something?
The amount of energy spent to keep that train going versus what you could conserve and use for other things in the apocalypse, obviously, is yeah.
I'm kind of baffled as to how this has had 4 seasons. Like, is this really a concept you can sustain for that amount of time?
I guess so.
Must be.
It'd probably be cheap to make, right? If you're on a train.
Yeah, I guess. RCO Markison says, "Hail to the panel. Can we get the panel to do a 45-second review of Drinker's Rogue Elements proof of concept? I thought the sound and music needed work, but other than that, awesome job." I mean, like in terms of the panel, I don't know if the others had even watched it, but you know, I'm not going to put people on the spot and ask them to review it. I think it's unfair, particularly when it's like stuff that friends have done. So yeah, I if people are inclined to make videos or whatever about it, that is entirely up to them. But I'm not going to demand that they do it for me right now. Shan Wikram Singh says, "All you said during this open bar about actresses reaching a certain age and their agent boss having the talk is literally the start of the substance." Yeah, Dennis Quaid does that with Demi Moore, doesn't he?
Quite like how he's filmed in that as well. He's disgusting as fuck. It's pretty
yeah,
cool.
isn't he eating like fucking prawns or something? And it's just like
it's just so gross,
slobbering all over himself. Yeah. Ed Song. "Whenever I see Rachel, I am like someone throw that girl a sandwich. She may faint from malnourishment." I mean, yeah, she's not big. Dean from Australia. "Drinker, congratulations on Rogue Elements, sir. It's a cracking piece of kit, and it's got to be satisfying seeing your creations come to life. Salute. Thank you." And yeah, it's very satisfying. It's just nice that we're able to get it through to completion. You know, it's like a 2-year process, and I guess I've learned a few things about how movies are put together. I didn't actually make it myself, obviously, but I got to observe, and yeah, a lot of work goes in before and after and during production, so it's pretty cool. Casey Boyd. "Shrinker, would you recommend Attack on Titan to Mauler now? Will you do a video on the ending? It's recent enough to post on your main channel if you wanted to." Yes, Mauler, I would recommend Attack on Titan to you. I
The
think you
whole
would enjoy
thing?
it. Yes, the whole thing.
How many seasons is that?
It's like 5, not too many. And each episode's like 20 minutes. You can blast through it like really quickly. Shan Wikram Singh says, "To add about the substance, unlike the main character, it's catapulted Demi Moore right back to the center of attention with the deserved awards talk. And yes, it's easily the best film of the year by far." Yeah, it's done well. SC615. "Ian McKellen and Ryan Reynolds are considered perfect castings for Gandalf and Deadpool. If you could recast one character you think would be perfect, who would it be and why?"
Just in anything?
I guess, yeah.
I
would recast Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us.
I'm trying to think of what was like a most historic. I mean, probably Jared Leto Joker. That was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I don't want to get rid of him because of the memes.
What's the next one? Devind. "The showrunners of Arcane planning only 2 seasons so they could work on other projects reminds me of the showrunners of Game of Thrones finishing the series early so they could work on other projects, and we all know how that turned out. When will they learn?" They won't.
No.
They're always going to be chasing the next thing, I guess. That's always the secret of the industry. It's like, look to bigger and better projects. Cunning Flop says, "Favorite comedy cartoon, exclude classic Simpsons." Ooh.
I mean, the follow-up at that point will be Futurama or South Park or
Family Guy.
Family Guy's just a noticeable step down to me compared to the others. Even American Dad I would put above Family Guy, but I like Family Guy. I watched a little shit ton of it when I was a kid, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'd probably pick
that's fair.
South Park, I think.
Mathian. Oh no, we've had that one already. Ed Song says, Mauler, I keep my girth with all the video games that I borrowed from a small toy store in Wales. I would like to thank you for taking all the flack.
Yeah, no problem, I guess.
What does that mean? I keep my girth.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know it's a good thing.
It sounds vaguely sexual.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Quefius says, Neon Demon is worth a watch regarding Hollywood and women. Neon Demon? What is that? An anime?
It's a movie. I can't remember if I saw that or not anymore. I feel like I know about it either from a review or from watching it. I can't remember.
Jeremy Soden. Been postponing the Arcane Season 2 EFAPs while I deal with my grief. I have reached acceptance and now have to catch up before Saturday.
Yeah. Sucks. We got 2 episodes left to do, and the vibe has definitely shifted. I mean, you see those last 2 episodes of the season. It's almost a nightmare to try and figure out what the fuck even happened in them.
Yes.
For instance, right, like after the big explosion that the little girl killed the werewolf thing, which I don't even know how to explain to. I don't know how to explain to someone whether or not they've seen anything to do with the game. But anyway, Victor is like, I should probably, do some like mind controlling and zombie things, and then Ambess is like, yeah, you do that. He's like, well, I'm gonna need the hex gates, and she's like, okay, I'll get them to you. And I'm just already just like, why does Ambessa want Space Jesus to zombify everyone?
I just fucking no idea.
It's such a like, okay then, I guess.
Yeah, I kept watching it. I actually went back and checked. Did I miss an episode? When I got into that, because it's like, I feel like there's a lot of setup here that I've just missed somehow. And it's like, no, it's just not there.
No.
J-Stro Hobbytech says, since the substance was mentioned, how do you guys feel about modern horror movies compared to the mainstream drivel we're supposed to lap up? Terrifier 2 and Pearl come to mind. So what are you saying? Like, how do we feel about horror movies compared to like just, comic book
mainstream
movies?
Versus A24 stuff, maybe? I don't know. It's like, are they talking about, like Insidious? That would be considered the Annabelle or whatever the fuck universe that is. That's mainstream horror, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing about horror is weird. Like, in a way, if you said like Terrifier, that's almost like a reprieve from the mainstream. And I'm just like, yeah, but isn't that kind of the face of horror for like social media talking about movies that are recent and bigger? The horror is an interesting genre. It feels like a lot of low budget horror is what horror is, Like, I get that's what
I think that's that's where it has its roots, isn't it? Like, horror doesn't really lend itself to big budget AAA movies. It should be low budget, and that encourages the kind of inventiveness that you would want in a horror movie.
A lot of the time, yeah. I find myself watching a whole bunch of random different things horror-wise. I'm a huge fan of horror, but there's a lot of crap. I think I mentioned to you that Oddity was something I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, because you got that from Red Letter Media. They recommended it, and then you watched it.
Yeah, they had quite a few horror. I think they did a horror video because they just happened to see loads of horror films. And going off of it's just the way it normally works, right? If they recommend 10 and they give a hook for each of them, it's like, I'll go with the ones that I find most interesting. And I gave you the hook, and I think it is quite a hook of a movie. And I like the atmosphere. I like a lot of the choices creatively. It's it's one of the notable things of 2024, which has not been fantastic for, I guess, mainstream movies.
I going back away with this one. I actually quite enjoyed Sinister. I like the setup for that. I like the
Is that Ethan Hawke?
Yes. So it's where he keeps watching these like movies on old projectors that he's found in his new house, and it's like a series of murders that have taken place across various decades, and it's like this demon thing that that possesses people and causes them to do it. But it's pretty good, pretty effective, fairly subtle as well for the most part. It doesn't rely on the blood and guts routine.
Mm-hmm.
Mathian says, they are great monster of the day fantasy books with very good protagonists. Give it a Google. There must be a reference to something he'd recommended previously. Casey Boyd says, Muller was right about the bean counters. They want an expanded universe ASAP to sell more of other items. They are not concerned with story quality. Is that Arcane then?
I mean, just watch season 2 and you'll know they're not concerned with story quality.
Michael Fang says, who will run the big box office on Christmas Day, Mufasa or Sonic 3 in December, which will have favorable gain? I don't feel like there's a great deal of buzz around Mufasa. I feel like if anything, people are just rolling their eyes about it.
That could be one of those things where it just fucking blows up for all we know, I guess. But I'm not seeing much of anything in terms of excitement. Most people are just being critical of it.
Sonic 3, like the Sonic movies are quite well regarded, aren't they? Like they seem to have a
Sonic 3 I could anticipate doing really well potentially. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's such a weird franchise.
Yeah, it makes no sense, but I'm glad people enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I think this one looks like Sonic fans are excited for, and that's nice. I'll watch it if Frankie says it's worth it, I guess.
Nicholas Masters says, you've been asked a lot about what gaming IP should be adapted into TVs or movies, but what non-gaming IP would you like to see adapted into a great video game? That's a good question.
John Wick. I feel like that's really applicable.
I mean, it basically is a video game, so that makes sense.
Ready to go. I mean, something like Silo could be fun if it was made into a very deep RPG, like a more serious Fallout sort of thing. But there's probably loads of really good examples. I just need to think about it. Like,
Squid Game would probably make for a good video game.
I think you could do it, yeah.
You could do a lot. Like, it would have to be a sort of choice-based game, but I think you could do a lot with that.
There's potential out there.
Jay Fraser says, hail gents, aside from Pedro Pascal, which overrated actor or actress are you sick of seeing in everything? For me, it's Mark Strong and Michelle Yeoh.
Damn, Mark Strong?
Yeah, you can't insult the Strong.
I like seeing him pop up because, I don't know, I kind of got the opposite, where I like seeing him because I feel like he deserves more chances to be great. He's pretty good.
Michelle Yeoh is a bit overused at the moment.
I understand that one more, yeah.
And I feel like, she's popping up in a lot of things where she's not really able to use her talents to the best of their abilities. So, yeah, I get that one. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who we just kind of see a lot of. I mean, The Rock's an obvious one. Like, he's fucking in everything. There might be a bit of the Ryan Reynolds. For me, like outside of Deadpool, I just feel like he stars in a lot of shit movies that nobody really wants or asks for, but they keep getting made. And yeah, he's definitely better in small doses, I would say. RT Boss says, Drinker, my family's doing a gift exchange from 8 different countries. My wife picked Scotland. Other than broken glass and toilet duck, what are good choices? So what, gifts from Scotland? It's got to be whiskey, really, hasn't it? That's what we're known for.
There you go, then.
You can't get haggis into America because of the fucking FDA. So, yeah, it's probably going to be whiskey, I would say.
Haggis is dangerous.
Dangerous to your waistline. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. From the creators of Minecraft the movie comes Settlers of Satan the movie. Who will make the winning role? Find out summer of 2026. Sure, let's do it. Dead Dingo Dan. The new Captain America Man movie sounds like when The Simpsons tried to revamp Itchy and Scratchy. You want a realistic, down-to-earth show that's completely off the wall and swarming with magic robots. Yep. It's trying to be all things to all men. Ed Song says, this reminds me of The Simpsons when Homer's brother told Homer to make a car and made an amalgamation of a car. I remember this one.
Simpsons has something for everything.
Yeah. It looks like the car that wants to run from itself. It was too sad to laugh at.
I love the Homer car. It's funny as fuck.
What was one of his demands? It's like, you know how you get those like novelty TV aerials or novelty aerials on your car so you can tell which one's yours? I want all of our cars to have that. Like, okay. MK Ultra says, Drinker, will you confirm or deny your 2-second presence in Rogue Elements as a baddie on the roof at 24:57? Nice work, by the way. I mean, I'll take your cues on the timestamp, but yes, that was me on the roof. I got a tiny little cameo in it, and it was fun. Glenn Travis says, I heard part of the reshoots includes a scene where mid-fight Captain Falcon tells Red Hulk, President Ross, you need to do better. I wouldn't be surprised. Deza says, Lord Gumbo is my favorite Lord of the Rings character.
He's pretty cool.
Be. Yeah. Normal Man. All of these hack writers are like, I want to bring my experiences to this thing. Unless they've skydived off Mount Everest or fist fought a shark, I don't care about their experience or their dull and boring LA lives. That is fair, I would say. Ed Song. I only give Pedro credit for his role in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nick Cage. He made me believe, then the movie ended. Back to reality. He was really good in that movie. I'll give him his due there.
Quite enjoyed that. It was fun.
I think it's still one of my favorite scenes ever when they both do acid and they're completely paranoid.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to get over like a tiny little garden wall and like Pedro can't make it. It's like, just leave me. Stay at home hippo. Remember, Amazon made a woman the reason for the invisibility phase walking ring. She never existed before, only to create the one ring. Hammerhand's daughter will do something evil. Justice for Lord Gumbo, savior of women. Well said.
Yeah.
Clueless. Go see Flow. Favorite animation of the year, like Homeward Bound with the art direction of the game Ico. That's a hell of a good combination of stuff there. Flow. Yeah. There you go. Normal Man. Hey, Drinker, now that you're a filmmaker now, will you still roast Hollywood, especially to own the Stuckmanizer? Well, I mean, joking aside, like, I am not a filmmaker. Like, I didn't make this film, so I just watched other people who knew far more than me make it. So that's great. I'm still free to be a total dick and criticize movies as much as I want. So I will continue to do so.
I have to check, but I think even if you're just a writer, you get counted as a filmmaker somewhat. I think.
Really?
Well, because filmmakers, like, imagine if you said, I'm only the director. I'm not doing like every aspect. I'm not doing all the sets or the makeup or the blah blah blah. But I know that that's less arguable because the director's involved in almost everything. But you wouldn't just say that the director's the only filmmaker necessarily.
Well, no, I think. From my perspective, you probably need to either be the director or a producer on it to sort of class yourself as a filmmaker because you're someone who's in.
The nuance of it would probably be depending on how involved a writer would be before they could be considered a filmmaker. It's complicated, right? Because like if you were in every single filming sequence and you were given constant direction and advice and input, I feel like you should be considered a filmmaker at that point.
Oh wow. So I can claim to be a filmmaker then.
Maybe it depends how involved you were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to be in meetings. I got to pretend like I knew stuff. I felt important. Okay, it's not much, but I needed it.
You were a maker of film.
There we go.
You were an important part of it.
I am part of the industry now. Kriegla says, "Do you dare to go jogging outside after Limmy beat up that guy, or is it too traumatic for you?" I mean, generally speaking, I try to avoid jogging as much as I can because I fucking hate it. But that was a fun little thing to film back in the day. It's funny because it's still out there on YouTube even to this day. Tolar Talks says, "Do you plan on doing a follow-up to Rogue Elements, whether it's with a bigger studio or just an individual project?" Yeah, I mean, there's various possibilities. So it might be that the company that's that I worked with to make Rogue Elements, that they're pursuing doing this as a TV show and getting it commissioned. Hence the reason Rogue Elements was kind of made as a proof of concept, to give you a flavor of what a TV show could look like, obviously with much bigger budgets and better actors, all that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully something good. Hunter says, "Evening, King Drinker." Hey, I've been promoted to King. Nice. Princess Muller and the rest of the Dinkelt. Has anyone tried the new Booby Blade DLC? I've lost count on the amount of times I've been punished for staring at Eve's oiled up ass. Stellar Blade DLC. I haven't seen the new outfits yet, except pictures on Twitter, and they look pretty good.
Yes.
Jay Fraser, Drinker, with Rogue Elements officially released, which criticisms do you agree with, and which ones make you laugh your drunk ass off? Congrats, by the way. Cheers, man. I think when it comes to things like the cinematography and shot composition, that sort of thing, those types of criticisms I would generally listen to, or like they seem like they come from a good place. If the criticism is nothing more than like, lol, this is the shittest movie ever made or whatever, it's like, well, okay, that's not really coming from an honest place. So I just tend to leave that behind. And like I say, the earlier criticism that was mentioned about like the two female characters in it being like girl bosses just because they do stuff, that kind of got a chuckle out of me, because it's like, well, are they not allowed to do anything? Like, damn, man, there's plenty of capable guys in it as well. So yeah, stuff like that. I think you can kind of tell the ones that come from a good faith sort of perspective versus the ones that are just there to troll. Some Norwegian guy says, how is it working with Mike Dopud and Patrick Gallagher? So Patrick, I didn't really get to meet. I only spoke to him on the phone because his scenes were filmed like separately from everyone else. After the rest of the production had been done, he was just good enough to volunteer his time for it. So we appreciated it. Mike was great. I mean, he's really receptive to, changing a few things on the day. And I actually met him at Carson's house because we were both crashing there, like in between shoots. And I'd gotten up quite early that day. He must have flown in overnight or something. And I was just up getting a coffee, and then he walks in. It's like, oh, okay, you're the villain of this movie. Good to meet you. So, yeah, he's a really good guy. Bayona Rad says, was Rachel Zegler going to be in Paddington 3? She apparently was, I think. And then her part got cut. I don't know much more beyond that. Dante McMillan, love you, Critical Mauler. Love you, and can't wait to see you gain 1 million subscribers.
I'll have to release more videos, I think.
Yeah, you'll get there, though. Dispatch's glorious Brit tea drinker needs 1 million as well. P.S. Pedro Pascal is overrated as fuck. That's fair. OMG Puppies says, time for the annual reminder to watch Babylon 5. Hey, I watched it already, so you don't need to badger me about it. No Dice says, Riot is consolidating all lore and stories into the League of Legends game throughout the year. So is this the stuff from the TV show?
It seems like that's going to be the broad plan. It's just Arcane will overwrite League's lore, which I think would have gone over a lot better if you, for example, take something people like already and then you just, like sharpen it. Like, people are going to have no problem with that. But if you instead completely replace it and the spirit is fucking killed, then this is actually really interesting because it's something that I have some familiarity with. I said I was really fucking unlucky because my favorite character in the game was Victor, and he's being completely overwritten with the Arcane version that I am not fond of at all. So I get like I'm unlucky enough that my specific favorite got the treatment right now, which is probably going to reflect more as time goes on. And Riot seem to think that's the correct decision, which like I would buy. It's a good decision in terms of a skin pack. Like, hey, you know that TV show you enjoy? You can actually play that character with voice lines from the show, even right in the game. But to overwrite it, you know how annoying it is for like comic fans where they love a particular comic, it gets adapted into a movie, and even if the movie is good, it's like, well, now the original story, no one knows about it, and instead when they refer to it, they'll think it's this. It's like, that's annoying. Yeah. It's even worse with games because at least the comic exists and at least people can cite it. But with the game, it's like what Victor was will be gone forever now.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It's not cool.
Casey Boyd says, Mauler, watch Vinland Saga. Wales is represented. Horiami says, I've just beaten the Bed of Chaos for the first time while listening to this. I heard on EFAP that it's a bad boss, but I was still surprised by it.
Well, It is surprising.
What is Bed of
Like,
Chaos?
It is a horrendously fucking designed piece of shit, like trial and error thing in Dark Souls that clearly was not given the time it needed to be completed. It's just a really, really notoriously awful boss.
Oh, okay. Doyus Doy says, this year I'm going to watch the best Christmas film, Lethal Weapon. It starts with a shootout in a tree yards and ends with a triangle choke in the Christmas lights. I mean, it's a pretty good movie. Got to enjoy Lethal Weapon. It's Shane Black who wrote that, wasn't it? And he's always got a thing about Christmas in
He
pretty
loves
much
his
all of his movies.
buddy cops. Shane Black.
Yeah. Big Dave K says, happy Thanksgiving, folks. And for those not from the US, have a wonderful Thursday. My Thursdays are always wonderful because I get to do open bar. Gaming Hub says, IGN roasted Star Wars on Twitter just now. I heard about that. Yeah, didn't they say, like, nobody fucking cares about Rey?
So rude.
I mean, it's true, but, like, yeah, if IGN turns against them, good lord. That's next level.
Everyone loves Rey. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Check out IGN.
Way more
grow
movies
a set
for
of
him.
balls.
Star Wars said that they said their most valuable asset. Do you think they just lie?
No, surely not.
Yeah.
Surely not. Just to prop up a regime. Silly Agibe says, how did you all like the Blacklist series finale? Well, I didn't really watch it. I watched like the first 2 seasons of the Blacklist, and that was pretty much me. I kind of lost interest after that, so I don't know where it's gone now. Coggin says, Disparu, what drug other than glue sniffing do you think Hollywood is taking? I think they're on all the drugs.
Yeah, just get the list out.
Probably large amounts of copium at the moment as well.
Mm-hmm.
English Batchers says, can you say why none of you will watch Mr. In Between? We have asked you for ages now. Fucking hell. It's like, it's nothing against it.
Pull up the list of things we haven't yet watched.
Like, I don't know how else to explain this to you guys, except like we've got a fuck ton of stuff that people want us to watch and review, and that's in addition to like all the new stuff that's constantly coming out that we're trying to stay on top of. And yeah, it's kind of a big commitment to just take on a TV show like you've never really experienced before. And yeah, we don't necessarily have like 20 or 30 hours to just plow into something new. That's the problem.
It's kind of funny. I assume everyone can relate to this, but like any given particular recommender in the form of a super chatter or chatter or whatever have you, or friends, that guy is in my head constantly telling me what to watch. And what I mean is he's me. Like I'm like, yeah, I should watch this. I should watch this. I should watch this. The list is enormous, and I'm never going to complete it. It's just never going to happen. And because this applies to games, TV shows, movies, and so it really is like a complicated game. We've admitted on EFAP before that it does typically end up being the things that are most recommended, but even then, you know, it's hard to say exactly what will happen.
Yeah, and I think particularly like amongst our own sort of group, like if Mauler was to come to me and say like, yeah, this new TV show, you fucking got to watch it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, okay. I mean, if someone like him who, you know, is generally quite realistic about the quality of shows says it's good, then I'll give it a try. You know, but that's kind of what it takes in terms of.
It was like, pretty much the same back for you. You can tell from the passion in the person's voice, like whether or not you should be cranking it up to a watch it immediately status.
Yeah. OMG Puppies says, did you like Star Trek Voyager? I thought Janeway was a good female captain, a tricky character to get right. I like the Holo Doctor. I like 7 of 9. Yeah, but also a good character. Yeah, we all liked 7 of 9 back in the day. I like the idea for Star Trek Voyager. I think they didn't really commit to it. It just it ended up becoming just another wishy-washy Star Trek The Next Generation spin-off rather than, hey, these people are in a desperate survival situation, like stranded so far from home. You know, they don't have the resources to call upon that other Star Trek shows did. It's a good premise. Like I say, they just didn't really make the most of it. And yeah, some of the characters were a bit boring. I think that was the stage where Star Trek was starting to become a bit stale as a concept. So, yeah. Overall, though, I like Janeway as a character. I thought she was fine. I thought, I can't remember the actress's name off the top of my head. It's Kate Mulgrew. I think she did a really good job with her and made her pretty likable. Casey Boyd says, thoughts on the official Squid Game 2 trailer? It got me interested.
We'll see.
Makes sense. It makes sense that that's the reason why he's back in it. I guess we'll see what actually comes of it. Michael Brocky says, amazing work with Rogue Elements. Drinker, loved it. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Star Trekker says, hey guys, I booked my Christmas movie already. Die Hard. Whether it's a good movie or not, I don't care. It's a good afternoon away from the modern world of nobody's getting triggered over nothing. I mean, yeah, and it is absolutely a good movie. Don't know why you'd think otherwise. Yeah, enjoy it. Your favorite vampire succubus says, are you going to make responses to any reviews of your movie? Oh yeah, that came up the other night. No, I'm not, because I don't care what other people thought. Jordan Pendragon says, I cast my vote in favor of starting open bar with 20th century yearly highlights. Maybe add 1924 too, since it's the centennial anniversary this year. Sure, I'd be up for that. OMG Puppies said, Jack Palance did an excellent Dracula film very close to the book. He was also great as Dr. Jekyll. Another classic was Frankenstein, the True Story, which again was close to the book. Jack Palance was a great actor. Jose Rodriguez says, Gary said the only reason they cast Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic is because he's white passing and still checks some boxes. Well, Gary said it. I reckon it's true. Jesus de Villa says, have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you, sir. And Griff Nizzle says, hot take. Apocalypse Now is not a good Vietnam movie. Hamburger Hill, Bat 21, Flight of the Intruder, even Platoon, which has all kinds of problems, are better Vietnam movies. Well, I think the problem with Apocalypse Now, if you want to call it a problem, is that it's based on Heart of Darkness, which was set in Africa, and so it's taking a story set in a completely different time and place and porting it into Vietnam as a metaphor for like the Vietnam War and the journey into the madness of war. So it's always going to be like stylized, and it's not really trying to capture the spirit of Vietnam so much as just it's a psychological exploration of what war and everything that comes with it does to a person. And yeah, I kind of agree that something like Platoon captures it better. Hamburger Hill is a really underrated Vietnam movie. I really like that one. And Bat 21, another great one with Gene Hackman. Yeah, I like that movie. So yeah, I kind of agree on that one. But Apocalypse Now is still an incredible movie, just from a filmmaking perspective.
Yeah.
That right there was our last one. So that was the end of the super chats there.
Well, alrighty.
It's been an emotional experience, everyone, as it always is.
Yeah.
We appreciate you sending all those super chats in, and for wishing us happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys all had a great day yourselves. But we are finished for the day. That is, I guess, all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.